Hey, I'm Tommy Ellison, and this is Senior Moments. I can't tell you what I had for breakfast this morning, but I remember every detail of that time I came this close to being suspended my senior year in high school, just 3 weeks before graduation. So stick around. This is proof that some things from a misspent youth just don't fade away. Let's go. Well, hey guys. This is not my typical Senior Moments live broadcast. This is actually a pre-recorded broadcast because I will be away Sunday afternoon and seriously doubted my ability to get back to Birmingham and to my studio to do it live because I was in need of attending a memorial ceremony for a very good friend and former teammate of mine. And actually, I wanted to, I guess, dedicate this particular Senior Moments episode to his, let's just say his remembrance. I guess that's the best way of saying it. This is episode 14. I call this one, Well Done, Good and Faithful Teammate. The guy I'm talking about is Buddy Nelson. Buddy Nelson was a teammate of mine at Samford University, as many of you probably know or perhaps remember, or maybe you're finding out for the first time. I played football at Samford University, that's Samford, and in the early 70s, back when we were wearing leather helmets. Just kidding. But many teammates, many of them still with us, and some that have passed on, and it's kind of been a melancholy, bittersweet week because Buddy had an opportunity to pass into glory this past week. He was age 74 and just a little bit older than me, I think, by a few months. He was the son of Dotson Nelson, I should say Dr. Dotson Nelson, who was longtime pastor at Mountain Brook Baptist Church. And Buddy played at Mountain Brook High School as a prep athlete, and then of course came to Samford University to play on scholarship and play football. And he was a defensive lineman. He wasn't one of the bigger linemen on our team, but he was made up for it with his effort and his spirit and his attitude. There are two memories that just kind of came flooding back to me when I heard the news about Buddy and his passing. And I guess, one I guess was one that stood out in my mind a lot just because of the nature of it. Buddy was a member of the S Club. In fact, he lettered the year before I did. So the following year, in 71 or 72, I'm not really sure, I lettered, and that qualified me to be a member of S Club, which also meant that I had to go through the S Club initiation. And those that went through that initiation and those teammates of mine that might happen to be watching this realize what I'm talking about. It was more like what we would call today a hazing, because I'm not going to go into the details because I'm not even sure some of these guys wouldn't be prosecuted now. But let's just say it was a treacherous time for us that were being initiated. You know, one of the things that they did, they got us in the gym, they put blindfolds on us, and they started feeding us various things and drinking different things. It wasn't like it was alcohol. I mean, this was Samford, okay? But we had no idea what we were drinking. And Buddy, in my class that was going through, was always somewhat kind and laid back. And I can remember him putting peppermint mints in my mouth during the process of being initiated and or hazed, and I appreciated that because I had no idea what I was drinking and eating, and yet Buddy kind of took the mystery out of it, I guess, by giving me a couple of peppermints to suck on while I was going through that process. The other memory that I always recall, and it involved our team traveling when we went on road trips. And typically when we went on a road trip, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, I think of the bus rides that we took as a team. We would always go up, a day early to the stadium where we were playing, and sometimes we stopped on the way on the first day at the Holiday Inn, and that at that point in time, the Holiday Inn always had like a buffet during lunch. It was an all-you-can-eat buffet, and I guess the coaches felt like they were going to save a lot of money taking us to a all-you-can-eat buffet for a fixed price as opposed to us all ordering and going through the hassle of maybe even preparing a menu. Anyway, we would all go to the Holiday Inn buffet, and then we would go to the hotel. Now, I don't know why it was done the way they did it, but my roommates, there were 3 roommates of mine. There was Buddy Nelson, there was Barry Lawler, there was Greg, not Greg, but Gary Kinley, and myself that were rooming together in a room that had 2 double beds. Now, again, these were defensive linemen. I was an offensive lineman, but for whatever reason, I was stuck with them. But I would probably not be too far off thinking that we were 4 of the biggest guys on the team, and yet there we were in a double bed with another individual. And I don't know about you, but, there's just something kind of creepy about touching another lineman in the bed. So what we would do, we would take the mattresses off of the bed, and 2 of us, we'd flip for it, 2 of us would sleep on the box springs, and the other 2 would sleep on the mattresses on the floor. And of course, the floor was covered with mattresses and, gym bags and things that we had with us on the road trip. And I think Buddy eventually just kind of got tired of being the one to sleep on the box springs when he drew the short straw, and he wound up sleeping in the bathtub. And, you may laugh at that, but this was back when hotels actually had bathtubs. I haven't been in a hotel with a bathtub in probably 20 years, but nevertheless, most of these had bathtubs, and Buddy would sleep. I don't know how comfortable that was, but I guess considering the alternative of sleeping on box springs, it probably, he obviously enjoyed it there more so than his alternatives. Buddy followed in his father's footsteps, and in 1974, he followed the lead of the Lord to go into the ministry, and he finished at Samford. He went on to seminary and pastored a church there, I think, in Kentucky, maybe, and then came back to Alabama. He had married, and Becky, his spouse, and he were living up in the Anniston-Gadsden area, and he pastored really numerous Baptist churches, including one here in Birmingham for a time at River Chase Baptist Church. And he continued to serve even following his retirement. I think he retired in 2016. And he continued to serve there. By the way, I forgot this particular scene. This is Buddy on the right in current days, but the other 2 were program pictures from 71 program at Samford and the 72 program from Samford. And that's what he looked like back then as a defensive guard. Anyway, as I was saying, Buddy pastored the church, or numerous churches, and even after his retirement continued to serve in the ministry. Last time I saw him and shook hands with him was at a book signing at Vestavia Hills Baptist Church. He had just published a book of devotions that he had written during the COVID period, It was called Getting Off the Fence Post, Choosing How to Face Difficult Times. And he actually, I don't think he gave me a copy. I think I bought a copy, and I had him sign it, and I read it, and it was actually pretty good. You know, I was still in a little bit of shock, I guess, remembering Buddy from college days and remembering Buddy as a Baptist minister. There was somewhat of a dichotomy there in my brain. But you know what? The Bible is littered with God's opportunity to give men a second chance to follow his lead. And certainly Buddy was one of them. In reality, it was for Buddy a game well played that I think certainly summed up his life. There were a couple of other titles that I was thinking about during this reel. One was Game Well Played. The other from the Gridiron to Glory. I kind of like that one. Well Done, Good and Faithful Bulldog, Samford Bulldogs. And of course, the one that I have followed up with and used was Well Done, Good and Faithful Servant. Anyway, with all that said, God bless you, buddy. May you rest in peace. May you rest in glory with your Savior, Jesus. And we'll see you there. And I look forward to that day. Have a great weekend, and thanks for joining Senior Moments. Leave your comments and let me know. If you knew Buddy, leave a comment with me on the comment side of this video. Would you do that? I would appreciate it. Thanks. Have a great day. Well, hey, thanks for spending a few minutes with me on Senior Moments. If you enjoyed the ride, be sure and tap that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. I'll be back soon with more stories from a misspent youth, and maybe some of yours too.